In Harm's Way is a psychological thriller set in Scotland. It's the story of a woman, Mackenzie Crawford, who's abducted just yards from her home. Terrifying enough, but more so because her husband and family won't know she's been taken. Why won't they know? Well, Mackenzie's a lady with a lot of problems. The book begins in the Luther Hills with an estate agent showing a client round a derelict house. The doors are hanging off, the windows are boarded, and there's a hole the size of an armchair in the ceiling. All very unimpressive, until he asks a question about a feature of the house she hasn't mentioned, and at that point, the reader knows where we're going. His question was casual, almost an afterthought. Your schedule said there's a cellar. Behind him she coloured with embarrassment. Was afraid you'd ask about that. Not the best feature. Don't think it'll be good for much. Show me. He followed her to an unlocked door at the end of the hall. She took a chrome torch from her handbag, switched it on and put a circle of light against the darkness. Be prepared, eh? He didn't smile. They went down wooden steps which groaned under their weight. Apart from some cardboard boxes piled on the flagstone floor and rat droppings in one of the corners, there was little to see. Thick beams ran across the ceiling supporting the room above. Some kind of fungus was growing on the rough plaster walls, and it was noticeably cooler, cold even. He guessed they were 10 or 11 feet underground. His eyes ran over the empty space, remembering how far they were from any other building, picturing where the heater, the chemical toilet, and the bed would go, and the chain. Back in the car, she said, "Shall I speak to the owner?" He seemed distracted. "What did you say?" "I can contact the owner by doing something on the price." "Ah, yes, do that." "Can I tell him you might be interested?" "Tell him to reel in the money or bring the bulldozers in." He wasn't serious. He wouldn't buy it at any price. He'd never intended to. But the decision was already made. It was perfect. It isn't uncommon for a marriage to get in trouble. Unfortunately, Mackenzie's way of dealing with her unhappiness is to turn to alcohol. In an attempt to make a fresh start, Derek takes his wife out for a day in Glasgow. Later they're expected to go to her sister's birthday party, but it doesn't turn out well. Mackenzie stormed away. Derek tossed money on the table and ran down the escalator after her, pushing past shoppers travelling at the speed of the moving stairway. On Buchanan Street he caught up with her and grabbed her arm. She brushed it off. Let me go, let me go." He tightened his hold and pulled her to him, whispering through gritted teeth, "You're making a bloody fool of yourself, or both of us. I mean it. Get a grip." The anger in his voice was enough to stop her struggling. Across the street, a man in his late 20s wearing a black coat leaned against the shop doorway and stared at them. He casually crushed the cigarette he was smoking under his shoe, smiling at some secret joke. "Who's that?" "I don't know what you're talking about." Derek pointed. "The guy in the black coat." Mackenzie looked over his shoulder. "It's him." "Who?" "The one I told you about. The man in the supermarket. He's watching us. The whole of fucking Glasgow's watching us. He's following me. Oh my God, I knew he was right. He's following me." Blackcoat waved and Derek's face twisted in a sneer. "You really must think I'm an idiot. He isn't following you. He's waiting for you." Mackenzie's being stalked, but because of her erratic behaviour, her family thinks she's an attention-seeking drama queen and don't believe her. The mistake she makes is not telling the police about the sinister stranger in the black coat, a mistake she'll soon regret. The actual abduction takes place when she's on her way to meet a man who's promised her a new life. She doesn't get there. Once, knowing she'd chosen him made Derek Crawford proud. Having a beautiful female on his arm was a boost to his ego. 3 years on, pride had been replaced by other emotions. He turned on his wife. Was that the plan? Fall out with me and hook up with him? Mackenzie started to deny it when the stranger waved a second time. That was too much for her husband. "Are you seriously asking me to believe he doesn't know you?" Derek laughed, a brittle laugh. "He knows you all right. He bloody knows you. He grabbed her arm again and half dragged her up Johannes Street. We'll discuss it when you sober up. As for your sister's party, you're fucking going. The avenue was deserted except for a group of young girls in the distance playing a game. It had been a sunny day, and in most windows the blinds were drawn against the glare. Who knew what went on behind them? Mackenzie was leaving a sham marriage. It wouldn't be the only one in this respectable suburb. She dismissed the thought. Other people's relationships were their business. There was nothing to be gained by speculating. She was headed for a new life and freedom, and, in case she'd forgotten, hardly in a position to cast the first stone. Her step quickened when she saw the tail end of the car at the corner. Without meaning to, she smiled. Some women might disapprove of what she was doing. Others would support her, call her brave. But bravery had nothing to do with it. She had no choice, and for the first time in a long time, Mackenzie was happy. She didn't pay attention to the white van at the curb or register the sound of someone behind her. When she did, it was too late. A hand closed over her face and a sweet smell filled her nostrils. She felt herself being dragged backwards before she sank into unconsciousness. The rear doors of the van closed. The driver got in and drove away. No one saw. Like a leaf falling to the ground, it went unnoticed. Mackenzie Crawford's new life would have to wait. And it's coming out on the 16th of October.